Welcome to the Fresh Start podcast with Aaron and Chloe.
Here's some of our favourite moments from the week.
Welcome to the show, Darren.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Now, we're talking priorities today. Priorities in life, obviously, whatever your priorities are, it's like a culmination effect happens at the end of the day. And the same goes for marriage. You know what I mean? Like it's small little steps, and then you end up on a big tangent somewhere. Am I making sense now?
I think you're on the tangent.
I'm on a real tangent.
I get you. Yeah, so we're talking priorities, and priorities do shape so much of where we end up in the end,
That's
result
what
as well.
I was trying to say.
Yeah. So
Good point.
I guess, what role do priorities play in a relationship, in a marriage?
Well, I mean, where we place God and where we place our spouse and where we place our kids and our work, I think that our priorities can become disordered quite quickly, or gradually over time we can shift into kind of like a disordered way of living. So, I mean, like let's state the obvious, right? God first, okay? Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, Matthew 6:33. And then there's love the Lord your God with all of your heart, mind, soul, and strength. So God first, and like that means more than just like I'm spending the most amount of time with God, or it means a lot. Like it means I'm getting my identity and my strength and my resource, and God is my rock. God is my source. God is my all. I'm not trying to get my identity or my strength or everything from my spouse first. I'm actually seeking God, getting that from him, so that I'm coming to my marriage with a full cup. Not with an empty cup. I'm not coming to my kids with an empty cup trying to get them to fill it. I'm actually got something to bring into that space. But then, kids can then get above marriage sometimes too, especially when your kids are young. It's a grind sometimes. It's hard work. It's exhausting. You come home from work and you're like, and the kids are here and what's going on? And then you put them to bed, and then you collapse into bed yourself, and, you barely get time to really hang out with and spend with your spouse. And so how do we prioritize our spouse in like difficult seasons of young children, or like a really busy season at work, and your boss is on your back. He's like, come on, you got to get this thing finished by end of month or end of financial year. You might have just experienced that, and you're like, and then the weekend becomes full, and then, you're rushing the kid to his sport, and then you're coming back and you're jumping on your laptop, and where's your spouse? Yeah. Where's your time with, and where's the focus on spending time together, connecting, being strong together?
So what are maybe a couple of signs we could look out for that might be telling us our priorities are out of whack?
I think when you sense that you're not as connected to your spouse, or there's a bit of tension in the air, we're not on the same page about something, or we're not feeling connected. Those are kind of two really telling signs. When you start to maybe not share the deeper things with each other, sometimes that's easier when you're in a really busy season and you're tired. You feel like there's an exhaustion in your soul, and you're like you guys might be feeling today, And then your spouse kind of gets the leftovers. Like that's a real dangerous place to live and exist. And if you're feeling like you're getting the leftovers from your spouse, or you're giving the leftovers to your spouse, that's a place where we need to readjust. We need to be like, whoa, we're a bit out of whack here. How do we put things in the right order so that our relationship is prioritized in this season that we're in?
Have you ever been in this situation, or like you've worked with a lot of couples and helped a lot? Have you seen it play out? Like how practically has this played out that you've seen with your own eyes?
I think Christians are really, really good at lying about our priorities. I think we tell ourselves that, oh yes, I'm doing the right thing and all the right orders and everything's great and blah, blah, blah. But I don't think that we really live it as well as we say it. And that's coming from someone with a lot of experience of this.
That's what he's seen with his own eyes.
It's an honest, safe space here, Darren.
When you point the finger, 4 fingers are pointing back at you or whatever. And so, I think it's certainly like I'm a pastor, like in ministry, sometimes there's no real 9 to 5. You can really just work, and then your spouse and your kids don't get the best of you. And so we've had to work really hard at staying prioritized for each other, like keeping each other, number 2, because it's easy for your spouse to fall to 3, 4, 5 over time. And we have to just make that effort and have those hard conversations and have those habits of it's date night, it's Thursday night, it's date night, or whatever it is. And, making sure that you are spending some of the best part of your day with your spouse, not just we collapse in the bed and then we try and talk about this thing and then, well, she fell asleep again. Great. Like, I'm halfway through a conversation.
How did you see into my room?
I have fallen asleep when Beck's been talking to me once. I was lying on the lounge one day, we're having this big, long conversation, and I'm like, oh no, I'm out.
Well, look, we might go to a song right now, but I think we've kind of identified here, the different priorities. But I think it's another thing to kind of know what the priorities are versus how to actually make it happen practically in our lives.
Right.
So when we come back on the other side, we might explore that. And I have a kind of bit of a curly one around the setting God as a priority as well.
Now we're talking priorities in life. Give us a quick recap. What do you think if we were to order them 1 to 4?
Look, God first. First, the kingdom of God, His righteousness. Spouse second. That's your first covenant. That's your covenant relationship. And kids third. And people are like, what? You can't put kids after your spouse. But if you focus on your kids, I've seen this so many times, you focus on your kids so much that you end up neglecting your spouse, then you're like, I've seen marriages completely fall apart because of this as well. Then guess what happens to your kids? They all get terribly affected by your disconnection or your distance or your divorce. So, you got to work out how to put the kids after your marriage.
It makes me think of when you're on a plane and they've got the safety things and they give the advice for parents, put your mask on first before you do your kids' mask, because you're going to essentially be useless to your kids if you haven't first made sure you're okay. And it goes against your protective nature.
That's right. I don't have any oxygen, so now I'm out.
But I feel like it's that same kind of idea, right? Like you need to protect the marriage for the sake of your kids.
Great analogy.
Yeah.
I want to know some signs, because I think this is probably one thing that is often goes wrong in a marriage with kids, particularly young kids. What's a sign that you've mixed up kids and spouse in the order of priorities?
I think one person starts to feel neglected. They start to feel like the kids are getting more than I'm getting. Like I remember when our kids were like they're really, really little and they're all over Beck. I probably told this story before, but and they're climbing all over her, and she's got and I'd come home from work and I'd be like, get off your mother! You're using up all of her physical touch.
Yep. I know that one well.
And she's not physical touch love language, and I really, really am. And so, that was just a part of I feel like I'm neglected almost, or I'm not getting what my base level requirements to function well. But that's where I had to learn to go to God first and fill up there. And that was a really important journey for me.
So I'll lean into the stereotype here, because I do think practically it often works out that it may be the husband in that young kid season feeling neglected, because practically often the wife is their main thing they're focusing on is often being at least mostly responsible for what's happening with the kids. So there's a practical element where they have to prioritize kids to some extent. How do you then, I guess, take it from both sides of that? How do you have that conversation to not selfishly be like, give me more of this and that, but to be honest about those things, and maybe for the wife, when she really is looking and going, if I'm not taking care of these kids, it's not going to happen. How can maybe she find ways to also prioritize a husband? Because I imagine maybe the husband needs to pick up a bit of the slack in that space.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that the husband might feel neglected physically or emotionally or whatever, but the wife would feel neglected in terms of what she needs as a baseline help around the house and help with the children. So husbands, I'd come home from work and the place is like a disaster zone. We've got 3 young boys running around, chaos everywhere. And I realized this is not my time to relax after work. I need to engage. You know, I'm thinking of, The Incredibles, where the kids are flying around the table and Mr. Incredible, Bob Parr, is just sitting at the table like blank. And Elastigirl's like, Bob, I need you to engage, And it's like, when you get home from work, husbands, that's not your time to sit down and relax and put your feet up and expect your pipe and slippers. Like, this is time to fully engage with the kids, with housework, with whatever's going on in the home. Like, the husband really needs to up his game in how he's supporting the household. And then she might have more leftovers for you.
Yeah, or just more appreciation and less
100%,
resentment,
yes.
which then leads to
that's exactly right.
reprioritizing.
So it's important to talk about your current situation. That might change in 6 months. It's important to talk about it now. This is where we're at now. What do you need from me? How can I support you better? So that we can prioritize us while we're in this chaotic season.
Now, I imagine there's a lot of danger. If you want a healthy, successful marriage that lasts the distance, I imagine there's some real danger of getting these priorities wrong. What have you seen is the outcome of maybe putting kids above spouse or even putting ministry above, your kids or that kind of thing?
I think eventually there's a resentment that builds towards the thing that's been placed higher. So, you've heard of pastors who don't engage with their children a lot. The ministry is the only thing for them for many, many years. And then they try and have a relationship with their kids, and their kids don't just despise the ministry. They also don't like the parent. They don't have real relationship with. And I think we need to prioritize relationship above like work, or even not calling per se, because that's a big overarching thing. But God didn't give you a spouse and children to neglect them for his kingdom. That's your first ministry. Your first ministry is at home. Like that's where that's where it begins. Like, love your neighbor as yourself. That starts with your wife. That starts right then. That's where our discipleship to Christ gets tested and tried in the most, I guess, brutal and real form, because we have to love this person that we have covenant relationship with.
I think that's been one of the biggest struggles for me with kids was both my wife and I have always been people very active in church, involved in so many things, and kind of going through a season of, we don't have the same capacity or space. And I know I had to wrestle with that idea of like I was letting God down, until it was kind of reframing it to go, no, like all those things that I'm doing, yes, they're for God, but there's also a bit of, for me, identity in that. So I need to reframe it and go, well, exactly what you're saying. Part of my ministry begins at home, and out of the fruits of that, everything else comes. Right.
I think you touched on a really important thing there, and that's capacity. So your capacity changes in different seasons of your life, and it's really important to recognize that. We can't do what we used to do now that we have a newborn. We just can't. We have to. We've got this. We're very responsible for this child. And as the children grow up, our capacity changes. Like we've got a much bigger capacity now, because our kids are young adults, and our daughter is now 16, and so they don't require the same level of physical investment and emotional investment as they did when they were 3 and 5 and 7. It's different.
And I imagine even in the workplace that sometimes you're not going to reach the KPIs you did before because you've got little kids now, like letting go of that identity in all kinds of ways. I also know the story is it's an age-old tale of when parents are busy, and it's all focused on kids, and then the kids are out of the house, and you kind of be almost at this point in your life now. The kids are gone. Sorry, who are you? You look at your spouse, and it's all kind of uncovered that the priorities maybe were wrong.
Totally. If you neglect your spouse for long enough and the kids leave home, you just have an empty home, or you have a lonely marriage. And I think that's what we want to make sure that we don't have over the seasons. We don't want to drift into a lonely marriage. We want to stay keep that prioritized so that we stay connected and close and in love through the years. So that when we get to that empty nesting stage, we're like, oh, this is the best.
Yeah.
You know, I get to hang out with you more. This is awesome. So,
have you got kind of like a one thing someone could do today? Like if someone's going, this feels like me, it feels like you're describing my marriage or where I fear my marriage is going or relationship. Is there one starting point someone could begin with?
I think asking the question to your spouse, how can I support you better in this season so that we can be better connected? That's like having that as the goal. I want to be closer to you, but life is chaos right now. How can we juggle our world? How can we maybe pull back from some extracurricular things? How can we live inside of our capacity and thrive where we are at right now with our marriage prioritized? How can we do that better?
We've been chatting with Darren Chapman from The Happy Marriage. Great advice. If you've enjoyed this, you want to hear more, head to his website, thehappymarriage.com.au. He's even got online courses. It's just really, really good. A book, all sorts of things. Go check it out.
We'll also have this conversation up on our website at reamerfm.com.au. But Darren, thank you so much for coming in and joining us this morning.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that's our show. Thanks for joining us this week.
You can check out more of the fun on socials. Look for 99.7 on Facebook or Reamer Newcastle on Instagram. Check out more of Reamer's podcasts at reamerfm.com.au.